All right, so first of all, I know a lot of people prefer different things, but I personally prefer using a 3-subject full-size spiral. I know a lot of people prefer the composition notebooks. They feel like they're sturdier, but I really do feel like these spirals in particular are way more sturdy and last the whole year. I use a polyvinyl plastic cover, and I even spend a day having my kids decorate them. You can see I let them cover them with duct tape, decorative duct tape, which they just love to do that. And I always make them include a name card on the front so that I can see whose notebook it is and what class period they're in. So all of my students have that. You'll also see I have this rubber band around it. I'll show you that in just a second. The notebooks really do start to get a little bit bulky as the year goes on, as you can see. So this is just a really easy, cheap way to have your notebooks kind of held together a little better. Let me pull it off and show you how it works. So on the back, on this back cardboard cover, I have my students punch a hole, and then I purchased one of those really long rubber bands. I don't remember the size, I'm sorry. I'll look that up and I'll provide it in the links below. But I have them just kind of, let me zoom in here. I just have them put it through that hole, and then it wraps around the entire notebook and it holds it all together really nicely. So inside the front cover, you can see I've got that polyvinyl cover. I always let them decorate that front page. I'm just make sure that it's science related, but other than that I let them decorate it however they choose. And then we immediately start in on the table of contents. You can see I have the pages number, and this is something you can download for free on my Teachers Pay Teachers site. The left side, and I explained this at the beginning of the year, is for student output. These are things that are coming from the student. Maybe it's diagrams that they're drawing, or graphic organizers, them practicing things, reflecting on their learning. That all goes on left side pages. And as you can see, the left side pages are always their even numbers. On the right side, we call that the input side. These are things that come directly from me, or possibly labs. So this is where they would take notes. As you can see, notes, labs, classroom activities, and these always occur on odd pages. And we do that, the table of contents, for several pages. And the highest I go is to page 169. That was enough for me last year, but we really do use this quite a bit. If you use it more often and you need more pages, you could always get another table of contents page and just continue it. The first page after my table of contents page is like my course guide. This is kind of a different flair on having a parent letter. It just kind of tells about the important things in my class. Here I have my blog information with a QR code and the address. I have the supplies that they need, telephone number for the school, my homework policy, my email, grading policy, how to access our online textbook, how to join my CELI group, which is I send out text messages to my students and their parents reminding them of different things, and then my tutorials. And this gives them a place to sign it, them and their parents. And then here I have like my Instagram and my Twitter accounts. I use a lot of different things in the notebooks. You can see I have a lot of booklets. This one was a little bit bigger, so it's stapled there. And you can see the notebooks glue in really nicely to the page. Sometimes things have to turn sideways, but the key, or what I really stress with my students, is that everything needs to fit inside the notebook. As you can see, I don't have anything hanging out. Everything is trimmed or folded so that it fits nicely in there. There's a variety of ways you can fold things. And when we are taking notes, for instance, like if we're taking notes on page 8 or they're writing something on page 8, it's really important that everyone in the class stays on the same page. If they end up running out of room at the bottom, I do not allow them to go on to the next page, because then their page numbers are going to be off from the rest of the class. So one thing I do to kind of combat that is to have them glue a piece of notebook paper right here So it's like hanging down here on the bottom of the page. They can just continue their notes at the bottom of the page, and then that piece of notebook paper, since it's glued now, it can be just folded up into the page. That way nothing's hanging off, they're still on the same page with the rest of class, everything works out nicely. So you can see I have all kinds of different activities. Like I said, I have foldables, a lot of booklets, all sorts of different things. Any of my notebook products that you buy on Teachers Pay Teachers, they're all designed to fit, you know, in the notebook. All right, another really cool thing that I've started doing, in the very, very back of the notebook, I call them flip outs. So I teach 8th grade, and that is a testing year for us. So at the end of the year, they take our state standardized assessment, the STAR test. So we are constantly referring to the periodic table of elements in 8th grade, and we're also referring to the formula chart quite a bit. So these are things I want them to be able to access throughout the year at all times when they're working on their notebooks. So this is a really neat way to do it. So as you can see, everything folds into the back. It doesn't hang out or anything. So that flips out so that no matter where they happen to be in their notebook, all of that is still visible, you know, no matter what page we happen to be on. So that's really cool. They can look at that. Same thing with the formula chart. It flips out so that wherever we happen to be in the notebook, they can see all of the formulas, which is really cool. Another thing that I think is super important in your notebook, you want some sort of little folder, or envelope, I'm sorry, some sort of little envelope to hold little pieces, because inevitably you're going to get to the end of the class period and they will have cut out some little pieces and they need them, but they didn't have time to glue them in. So I just use this little envelope just to hold little pieces. And once you fold everything in over it, there's no way it's going to open up and stuff's going to fall out. So that's great. And then this is my Cell Pals. I use this just to group students quickly. We set this up at the beginning of the year so that when I say get with your number 1 Cell Pal, it's already predetermined. They can quickly partner up and we can get started on whatever activity I have planned. It doesn't waste a lot of time helping them figure out partners, and there's no arguing because they set up the partners at the beginning, which is really cool, which gives them some ownership and all. If y'all have any more questions, provide it down in the links and I will definitely respond. I hope this helps some of you out. I know I still need to do another video on foldables, so I will do that, but maybe this will help get you kind of started. Thank you. See ya later, guys.